Sri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Sri Sai SATCHARITRA, an Insight. Episode 158. My humble prostrations at the lotus feet of our Sadguru Sai. By the divine grace of Sai, an attempt has been made to translate the gist of the divine discourse of Sri Ramanathan brother telecasted in Sai TV. This is purely done to share the glory of Sai and his divine teachings with more insight to the aspirants. Om Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Devotees, in continuation with the previous episode, let us now listen to the experiences bestowed by Sri Sai Maharaj upon Shankarrao Gavankar as articulated by him in the Sai Leela magazine. According to this, he and his friend Lala Madan Gopal decided to have darshan of Narayan Maharaj at Kedgaon, and so they planned to meet at Kalyan during their Christmas break. Hence, from Vase, Shankarrao Gavankar started with his bags and he had to travel through Vileparle, Bandra to reach Kalyan. On his way, he stopped at his brother's place and then decided to continue his trip to Kalyan. On the other hand, Lala Madan Gopal had made all the arrangements for their stay at Kalyan, but due to unavoidable circumstances, he couldn't start his journey from Shimla, but he knew that Shankarrao Gavankar may stop at his brother's place at Vileparle. Hence, he sent a telegram to Vileparle addressing to his brother to inform Shankarrao his helplessness in joining the trip to Kedgaon. So as soon as Shankarrao Gavankar came to Vileparle, his brother informed him that Lala Madan Gopal will not be coming to Kalyan. Shankarrao Gavankar was dejected to hear this news, as they won't be able to go for Narayan Maharaj's darshan. Moreover, he also has applied for a week's leave and that might also go waste. So he was contemplating if he has to cancel his leave and get back to his work or just avail it. On the other hand, Lala Lakshmi Chand at Santa Cruz had an earnest desire to go for Sri Sai Baba's darshan, but was looking for a right companion. At this circumstance, Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar, staying at Vileparle, had an opportunity to meet. During their meeting, Lala Lakshmi Chand asked if he is willing to join him to Shirdi. Shankarrao Gavankar felt happy at this unexpected call, as he always loved to visit saints and spiritual masters. Moreover, some time back, a kirtan was arranged at Bandra in Tabolkar's house. The kirtan was performed by the great kirtankar Dashganu Maharaj, and Shankarrao had an opportunity to participate in that kirtan and had the greatest blessing to listen to the glory of Sri Sai Baba. Hence, he also had a willingness to have darshan of Sri Sai Baba. Therefore, he chose that he can use his leave to go and have darshan of Sadguru Sainath Maharaj. Thus, both decided to go to Shirdi. This being their first visit, they tried to gather information from their friends and Sai devotees about the distance, expenses, the boarding and lodging facilities available, and about the practices adapted in Shirdi. The feedbacks they got from few were not encouraging. few troublemakers had spread some rumors about Sri Sai Baba that he usually thrashes people during their first visit, as we all knew that Sri Sai Maharaj was considered as a mad fakir by a handful of them owing to the experiences or the scenes witnessed by them during their visit, as they were incapable to perceive the unfathomable methods of Sri Sai Baba. There were 3 ardent devotees of Sri Sai Maharaj residing at Ville Parle. They had already visited Shirdi. Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankar Rao Gavankar had an opportunity to meet them as well. Out of these 3, first they met Bapu Sahib, who gave them the assurance that they need not simply confuse or worry with the wrong notions of few, but instead go, enjoy their darshan and reap the blessings of Sri Sai Maharaj. At that moment, another devotee by name Raghunath Wagh also gave some good and positive note about having Sri Sai Baba's darshan. Also, these devotees wanted to send some items as an offering to be submitted on their behalf. So, Babu Sahib gave a basket full of fruits and plenty of flowers to offer to Sri Sai Maharaj, and Raghunath Wagh made a very beautiful garland and sent it as his offering. Then, as they met Kanhaiya Lal, he gave 4 annas and requested to offer Peru, that is guava fruits, on his behalf to Sri Sai Baba, as this is one of the favorite fruits of Sri Sai. Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankar Rao Gavankar were not rich, so they were concerned about the expenses that they had to incur during their stay in Shirdi. Lala Lakshmi Chand's uncle's son was doing a business of lending money for interest. So, Lakshmi Chand went and borrowed rupees 15 as loan to meet his expenses for Shirdi trip. Since Shankar Rao was also in need of money, he also borrowed some money for his needs. Now both took all their belongings and offerings given by other devotees, and from Ville Parle reached Dadar, boarded the train at Dadar to go to Manmad and alighted Kopargaon, then travelled towards Shirdi by Tonga was the plan. When they got into the train at Dadar, they were pleasantly surprised to see Nana Sahib Chandorkar in the train. They were already acquainted with each other. Knowing about their plan to Shirdi and looking at their heavy luggage, Nana Sahib Chandorkar advised that there is no need to carry so many bags to Shirdi. Instead, they can hand over some of their bags and keep it with him at his residence at Kalyan, as he is presently working at Kalyan, and on their way back home, they can come and pick up their bags from his house. Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankar Rao Gavankar both agreed to this suggestion and gave off some bags to Chandorkar. This itself is a great blessing because Nana Sahib Chandorkar was holding a prestigious position. He was a deputy collector, whereas these two were simple devotees. But the moment Nana Sahib heard that they are on their way to Shirdi, he volunteered to help them as he wanted to make their journey a comfortable one. This reflects his reverence and devotion for Sri Sai Baba. Shankar Rao Gavankar had great interest in singing bhajans and devotional songs. So, he suggested that they sing some bhajans in praise of Sri Sai Baba. Hence, they started singing the glory of Sri Sai in the train, and this continued until midnight. Now the train reached Nasik station and a Mohammedan boarded the train. These three had a casual talk and came to know that the Mohammedan is residing in a place close to Shirdi and came to Nasik on some work now on his return journey to Shirdi. Immediately, both became curious and asked the Mohammedan, "Then you must be knowing about Shirdi Sai Baba, don't you? How is Sri Sai Baba to the devotees? Who is he?" And so on. This passenger is a Muslim and considered Sri Sai Baba as a Mohammedan and said, "Oh, he is a great awliya, has supreme powers. Go and have his darshan." Conversation continued for some time. By then, it was already time to sleep, so they all slept, and next morning the train reached Kopargaon station at 6 a.m. They alighted from the train and looked for hiring a horse cart to traverse another 11 miles to reach Shirdi. But none was available, so they were waiting for a horse cart. Just then, a carriage drawn by 2 horses arrived, and the driver of the cart verified if they were Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar. When they answered in affirmative, he said that he was instructed by Bapu Sahib to take them to Shirdi. Immediately, they loaded their bags inside the tonga, and as they felt very tired after the train journey, they decided to take some rest. So they both slept inside the tonga for almost 2 hours, then went to take a bath in the Godavari river, had their meals, and were now ready to go to Shirdi. Hence, told the Tongawala to commence the journey. The driver of the horse cart tried all means, though the horses were hale and healthy, were reluctant even to walk. Hardly they moved. He began to even lash them with the whip to urge the horses to move, but of no avail. None could understand the reason. Devotees might recall, while Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar decided to go to Shirdi, a devotee by name Kannaya Lal gave 25 annas to buy Peru and offer to Sri Sai Baba. They thought of purchasing the govas in Shirdi, but the ones in Kopargaon are very fresh and tasty. This was not known to these two. At this circumstance, an old woman with a basket full of fruits came swiftly towards the tonga and called out, "Dada, are you going to Shirdi?" Just then, both got reminded of Kannaya Lal's request, so they asked her to give Gova worth 25 annas. She said, "Oh, take the ones you need." After they chose the fruits, she said, "Please take these also and offer it to Sri Sai Baba on my behalf." They both were pleasantly surprised at the series of events taking place at the most appropriate time. As per the plan, they had to buy gova, and the same fruits were brought by the fruit seller. And they thought she must not be a mere fruit seller, but also a loving devotee of Sri Sai Baba, that she gave the whole basket of fruits to be offered to him. After they kept the basket in the tonga, the horses began to move. Nay, they ran at the speed of the lightning, and all of them were flabbergasted at the sudden change in the behavior of the horses. In no time, they reached Shirdi and stopped the tonga in front of the Satewada. While they both were about to enter the Vada, there stood Nulkar and his friend Nilkant. These two fervent devotees provided all kinds of assistance to the devotees that come to Shirdi for Sri Sai Baba's darshan. Nolkar and Neelkant provided tea for these two as they just arrived from Mumbai. Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar were desiring to first have darshan of Sri Sai, so inquired them about it. Nolkar and Neelkant said, Duli darshan is very significant, so both of you can directly go and have your darshan now. Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar were little nervous as they feared if they will be thrashed by Sri Sai being their first visit, or will it be a pleasant experience as told by Bapu Sahib. They entered Dwarakamai and it was flooded with devotees. Sri Sai Maharaj was seated in the sanctum sanctorum and had been yelling at the peak of his voice while his back was being massaged by a Deshahasta Brahmin. This reference was used by Shankarrao Gavankar in his letter to Sai Leela magazine. Now, two of them were to climb the steps of Dwarakamai, and all those who were seated on the Sabha Mandap warned them, Don't go near Sri Sai Baba. He is very furious. But Shankar Rao and Lala Lakshmi Chand were persistent to have darshan, hence they ascended the steps. Sri Sai Maharaj seemed to be very angry, but fixed his glance on both. They also looked at Sri Sai Maharaj. Now, in a very angry tone, Sri Sai said, Jao vidhar se, means get lost from here. Everyone were cautioning both to move away from there. Immediately, they both descended the steps and sat on the Sabha Mandap leaning on a pillar. In a short while, Sri Sai Baba's anger sank, and now, pointing to these two, Sri Sai Maharaj said, Come up. Both Lala Lakshmi Chand and Shankarrao Gavankar went near Sri Sai Maharaj, prostrated at the lotus feet, and took out the beautiful garland sent by Raghunath Wagh and adorned Sri Sai Baba's neck with that. Then they performed the archana with the flowers and offered the fruits sent by Bapu Sahib. Later, placed the govas on behalf of Kanhaiya Lal. Sri Sai Maharaj was very calm and showed signs of joy while accepting all that was sent with love and devotion by various devotees from far-off places. He picked up a guava fruit, broke it into two pieces, and gave one half to Lala Lakshmi Chand and the other to Shankarrao Gavankar to eat. And after they ate, Sri Sai Maharaj said, Khana khao aur vada mein aaram karo, which means eat your meals and take rest at the vada. They took leave from Sri Sai and Baba smeared ashes on their forehead and they came out of Dwarakamai. Devotees, all the incidences that you might have read in Sri Sai SATCHARITRA in connection with this Leela can be heeded in the episodes after listening to the experiences shared by Shankarrao Gavankar in the Sai Leela magazine. Both were thoughtful. We came to have Sri Sai Baba's darshan. He did not give us any upadesh or talk any spiritual philosophies. With this thought in mind, they returned to Satewada, had their food and took some rest. After this, what did they introspect and what divine sport was played by Sri Sai Baba? What experience did they get? All these enthralling leelas can be listened in the coming episode. Bow to Sri Sai. Peace be to all. Om Sai Ram.